Alrighty, hey traders, we're going to do a bit of an update on what we could be looking for forward this week when looking at silver and also gold. Also be looking at some of the mining stocks as well too. So really focused on that in today's market. Let's go straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, before I do start, I'm actually running a live training for you guys that are really interested. This is the details here. You can pause the video if you want, but there's 7 universal trading laws for generating income from trading that the top 1% know and do. You can see all the details here. Top #1 trading chart reading pattern and so much for this. Again, you can pause the video if you want to see there. But if you go to johnslivetraining.com, you'll be able to register for this. So make sure you register for it, guys, because I'm not recording it and I'm only doing it live. So guys, make sure you go to johnslivetraining.com right now to register for that event coming up very soon. Let's get into just a bit of an update on what could be happening this week when it comes to silver and gold. Now, let's have a look at this here. When we're looking at this, well, first we're looking at silver here, and we can see that silver definitely had a lot of problems breaking past this. Let me bring up some trend lines here for a minute. Actually, you know what? Let me just erase all. And you can see what's happened here with silver, right? Silver's definitely had a lot of problems breaking past this sort of resistance level around the $28 level, maybe even $28.50 level. We had a bit of a reversal pattern here. It came down, as you can see, it rallied back up, and you can see how it actually had a lot of problems closing above that $28.50 level. Then it rallied down, and it found a lot of support around that sort of $26.50 level, as you can see. So it found a lot of support there, then it rallied up, came down, found a lot of support around there, then rallied up and found a lot of resistance at that point now. And now look, I found a lot of resistance at this point. And as you can see, look what had happening. It actually rolled down, had a little problems around that $26.50 level, and then broke back down. Now look what's happening. We're rallied up, we've actually rejected off it once. We've rejected off it twice, rejected off it 3 times, and now we're starting to slowly sort of flatten out here. So this is quite a weak sign because we're getting, not only are we getting this strong move down from here to here, but now we're getting sort of a weak, you can see how we've got a very strong selling movement and now we've got a very weak sort of buying movement. This actually could be spelling a bit more movement on the downside to come. So I wouldn't be too surprised of that, but you can see a lot of rejection around, once again, around that sort of $26.50 level. And also you can see, look at the what I call the momentum, the moving average, which is the 20 moving average. Look how strong that is pointing down. So we've got a lot of, not only do we actually have a trend in place, which is a high, and then we have this sort of low point through here. We have a lower low. This now could be a lower high, and then this could be lower high. And if it is, and if we start to break below this sort of 26, this level through here, guys, then we're probably likely to see a bit of a deflationary period coming into silver here. So very interesting to see where that's actually what we're seeing right now when it comes to silver. Let's go have a look at gold. And if I take everything off the screen here with gold, and I just look at what the charts are telling me, we did get a sort of a bit of a weaker sort of pullback through here, but you can see a very nice pullback. We do have a very nice downward trend that's forming still in gold. We know we had, if I draw a trend line from the top here, and I draw it from the bottoms, from the tops to the bottoms, there we go, from there to there. We have a lot of resistance through there. You can see what's actually happening. We have a lot of problems through here. So very, very, very interesting. I also can notice, if I open up my chart a bit more, I also notice that there's a lot of resistance around that 1760 level. So just below that there's a lot of sort of resistance coming into play here. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we started to see some sort of a sell-off in gold coming soon. But if we don't sell off and we hold and we get back above this 1650 level, especially if we can get back above this sort of 1820 level, if you have a look at that there, if we get back above here, then the whole trend has now changed, because we went from a, as you can see, from a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower highs and lower lows. And this actually still could be a lower high, but if it's not, if we start to rally back up and break this previous high, this could be a complete game changer for gold, and then we may be able to, and then we might see a lot more upside if we start to break above this high. But this is the line in the sand for gold. Anything, if it doesn't get back below here, or if it doesn't get back above there, then we're probably likely to start to see a lot more movement on the downside coming into gold. And if we do break this level, if we do break below 1700, then it's probably got quite a big drop on the downside, because if I open up my charts a bit more, you can see that this level here, where it actually had a lot of problems just here, if we break below that there, look at this here, we've got sort of no support level, and got a little bit of support around the 1600, but we've got no support until around the 1450 level. So we just need to keep an eye on that. So there's the two different scenarios that I'm looking at there when it comes to gold. Once again, if we do start to get back above this 1820 level, then this downward movement is now coming to an end. Looking at now, let's have a look at the actual GDXJ. Firstly, on the GDXJ, we are definitely getting a bit of a pullback here, but we're still in this overall weak downward movement, aren't we? We're still at this sort of the moving average trending down. We've got a bit of a weaker sort of period moving up, and if I squeeze my chart up a bit more, and let me just erase everything off the screen here, you'll be able to notice there's actually quite a bit of support and resistance where it is right now. You can see around about where that line is, which is around the $48 level. You got a lot of support, moving down, moving up. There's a lot of resistance around here. So it's really interesting to see what's going on here when it comes to that. But we are starting to develop a bit of a downtrend. So I wouldn't fight this downtrend yet when it comes to the GDXJ. Now, guys, I'm doing analysis on the GDXJ. I also do see that there is some mining stocks that look quite bullish, and there's some mining stocks that actually look quite bearish. This is not for all mining stocks. It's just for the GDXJ, okay? The junior miner stocks there. And then also same thing for the GDX as well. We can see that there's a lot of support through here, a lot of support, and we've just rallied back up once again. So I wouldn't be too surprised to actually start to see this thing start to roll over, just like the GDXJ as well too. I believe we're likely to start to see a bit of a pullback coming soon. So we may see a bit of a deflationary period coming into the metals and miners this week, but keep an eye out for those levels. The line in the sand for me when it comes to the GDXJ, and that is what I mean by that is that when are the buyers, when this downward trend that we've been in for quite some time, when is it likely to end? The main line in the sand is around this sort of $39 level. Or if you had a trend line coming down like that, I would say, then anything above this, if we start to get back above this level through here, above these two levels of resistance, then we're starting to see the buyers coming back in, and we're starting to see the flow of the buyers coming back in, and we're probably likely to start to see a nice movement up from there. But I wouldn't be too surprised once again, guys, if this is just a nice little pullback before we start to see a rejection on the downside. But if that doesn't happen, and we do start to get back above this two sort of resistance levels here, then that could be the start of that nice move coming to the upside. Looking at the SIL as well too, and sort of the same thing. I'm expecting a bit more of a pullback through here, and the SIL as well. The really interesting thing is, guys, is that the SIL, which is the silver miner ETF, is still looking quite weak. And the one thing you really want to watch is this level here. If we don't hold this 40 level, and we start to break down. So if I open up the chart a bit more, if I do this, right? If I do that, if we can have a look at this, as you can see that if we start to hold here and we start to get some sort of a nice strong drop, like a really strong breakdown bar below that $40 level, then that could spell quite a bit of a drop in the downside for the SIL. But the really interesting thing is, guys, is that look at the SIL and look at the SILJ. And if you look at stocks, like I'm actually in a stock right now when it comes to silver mining stocks, which is EXK. EXK is actually starting to weaken a little bit now, but I've been in EXK since around the $4 level. So it's really interesting to see what is actually going on here when it comes to the mining stocks. So the individual, silver, gold, and the mining stocks and so on and so forth. It's really interesting to see what's going on through there. And the really interesting thing is that what we want to see is, or what I'm trying to say is that some of the silver and gold mining stocks, guys, they're not always going to be exactly in line with what the SIL and SILJ, GDX and GDXJ are doing as well too. As you can see, that the SIL has a bit more of a stronger pattern. And what I mean by that is that if we start to really break below here, like we start to see something like that, we see something like this coming, guys, this week, like that's something really strong, and for some reason the silver miners get hammered for some reason, then we're probably likely to go through a bit of a down period. The reason why is if you have a look at what the market's doing right now, and we open up this chart, look what the market's doing. It's actually clearly telling us we have a downtrend, right? So we have a high, we have this lower high, we have this low, now we have a lower low. If this holds here, this is going to be a lower high, another lower high, trend is your friend, and now we're actually breaking below significant support. If we get that, guys, then we're probably likely to see a pretty nice and a pretty sharp movement on the downside. And I reckon just looking at this here, if we have a look at that there, so it's around 46 to 40. So I would say a $6 drop on the downside would be the sort of, if we have a look, that's the resistance level through there. That's the support level there. If I'm looking at, say, a projected target where the market is probably likely to go, if we did get that, then we measure from the high of this channel down to the low of the channel, which is basically, $6. You project that down like so. You open up the chart just like so, which is around that $33 level. And the really interesting thing is you can see that there, but if I open up my charts, look at that. That projected line also goes smack on what? These levels of resistance, and major support back here. So I wouldn't be too surprised, guys, if we did get that we actually, yes, we did get a nice follow through to the 33. That'd be a nice sort of short-term play, guys, maybe a couple of day play that I'll be looking for if it does get that. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see that broken, and we start to see a bit more of a flush to the downside. So, guys, I'm not saying we're definitely going to get that, but this will be the trigger for me to possibly look for a short setup myself, because now the market's really starting to roll over. Right now, we could just start to head up here. So we want to wait and see here. If we do get back below the $40 level, then we have a pretty sort of nice sharp movement on the downside coming, I believe. So hope this helps you out today, guys. Just make sure that you just be patient with this week, guys. And also make sure you head on down to johnslivetraining.com, register for that live training, and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon.